namaskritya naram chaiva narottama devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam udiraaya. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Sri Guru Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Om Tad Vishnu Paramam Padam Sada Pashyanti Surya Devi Vacha Churata. This is a verse from Rig Veda. Rig Veda is one of the principal Vedas. There are 4 principal Vedas. And it is taken that Rig Veda is the more principal. So Veda, Veda means knowledge. And knowledge has 2 main divisions, material and spiritual. The mundane, knowledge of the phenomenal world. And the spiritual or transcendental knowledge, that is called Sapta Brahman. Knowledge of that which lies beyond the senses. Now, in the modern world, people are very busy with essential knowledge. What they can acquire through experiment. What they can acquire by their touch. That type of knowledge. Knowledge of transcendence, that is almost an imaginary thing in society. Imaginary thing means people doubt that it exists in the first place. When people want higher knowledge, they look towards the sky, they look towards the heaven, and they want to know something about some life on other planets, something about another galaxy. But this is also within the mundane world, looking towards heaven, looking towards the sky, towards another galaxy, to want to know something about life there. That is also mundane, because that is within the material sky. Transcendental knowledge lies beyond the material sky, in the spiritual sky. So the Veda deals with all knowledge, mundane and transcendental. We may, to a certain extent, discover the mundane knowledge without the help of the Vedas. Sure. For example, in the Vedas, there are many references to flying machines, aeroplanes, rockets, even spaceships, and interplanetary travel. Then in time, they're going in the space, the astronauts, sending the moon mission, going to another planet. And they're doing all of this without referencing any point in the Vedas. However, long before man could dream of flying as an accepted proposal, knowledge of flying was there in the Vedas. But man has learned to fly without directly approaching the Vedas. So material knowledge can be gained by one's own endeavor to a certain extent. The Vedas inform us of flying machines, the possibility. Now, thousands of years later, ignoring the Vedas, we have developed our flying machines. The Vedas also inform us that there is life on other planets, but we have not discovered that by our own means. Yet, the proposal is there. So much time you can save if you accept the Vedic knowledge. Why you should accept that Vedic knowledge? The Vedic knowledge says there is life on other planets. Why you should accept that? Well, it is quite logical. The Vedas proposed the flying machines and interplanetary travel thousands of years ago. And now you have come to know that is possible. So why you should reject the other proposal of the Veda, that life is there on other planets? First, accept that there is life on other planets. Whether you'll be in contact with that life or not, that is another question. When you will come to meet that life, that is another question. But you can answer that primary question. Yes, there is life. on other planets. There is life throughout the universe. According to the Vedic knowledge of the universe, there is no place where there is not life. And life in many and varying degrees. But again, we struggle with this principle of accepting a higher authority. And therefore we want to know everything by our own hard work and experiment and research. The proposal, life is there everywhere in the universe. Then we're doubtful about that. And for many years we are thinking life can only exist in a certain limited circumstances. That we find life here on this plane, on the earth. If it is too hot, like the sun, how is it possible for life to live there, exist there? Or if it is too cold, like the moon, how is it possible for life to exist there? But then we discover, even in our own world, in a volcano deep within the ocean, where the water is thousands of degrees heat, where we have no experience of anything living before, we discover some life form can live within that extreme circumstance of heat. You see. So life exists in all places, regardless of how extreme. We may have experience of that, we may not. But through the Vedas, we can know what is not knowable to us in this world. But as I said, to a certain degree, we can gain knowledge of this world by our own endeavor. Do you follow?
Yes.
But as regards transcendence, as regards that which is beyond the material field, as that which is beyond the material sky, that which is lying in the spiritual sky, that is unknown and unknowable by any other means than the Vedic authorities. The Veda itself and the Paramparas. The Parampara means the guru-disciplic successions who come in a line of teacher and disciple. A continuous line running for thousands of years. Teachers, gurus, and disciples, students, receiving the higher knowledge, cultivating the practices of sadhana, the practices, to attain higher realization, and ultimately coming to the higher realization. Only through this method, Veda and guru-disciplic succession, Parampara, teacher and disciple, can what is beyond the world become known to us. Become known to us in a more substantial way than you experience the world today. How you experience the world today. You want to touch it. You want to see it. You want to hear it. You want to have some reciprocation with it. Doing these things, you're assured it exists. The spiritual world, the experience of transcendence, is more reality than that. In the morning we wake up, we see the sun rising on the horizon. When knowledge of transcendence awakens in the heart, it is a more substantial experience than seeing the sun rise. Those who are great sages, who are mountains of realization, so to speak, who have high consciousness, they say that transcendental world is the only reality. And everything in this phenomenal world, today or tomorrow, it vanishes. So, the primary interest of a human being should be to direct himself towards transcendence, to solve the problem of transcendence. What is transcendence? What is beyond this world? But unfortunately, we're all very, very busy with this world. We are busying ourselves in this world, and we are without even the slightest information that there exists beyond this world another world. When we say transcendental sky, we do not mean simply a sky filled with light, where only a bird may be happy to fly and soar in the light, or a particle of dust to float in that light. The spiritual sky is filled with spiritual planets, much greater than the planets of this mundane world. Those are the Vaikuntha planets. Those are the Vaikuntha planets, and their life exists without any material defect. The material defects are birth, death, old age, and disease. These things are the problems which everyone, rich and poor, famous and infamous, everyone has to deal with these problems. Birth, death, old age, disease. In the Vaikuntha, there is no such thing. Once going there, one never grows old. Once going there, one never becomes diseased. Once going there, one never dies. The Vaikuntha planets. So, the real purpose of human life is to concern ourselves in that direction, towards the transcendental world. How we will achieve that world. How we will achieve a status in that world. That should be the goal of life. And to achieve that goal, one can look towards the Vedas. And in this Rig Veda, this mantra comes. Om Tad Vishnu Paramam Padam Sada Pashyanti Surya Devi Va Chakshuratatam. The lotus feet of Vishnu. The lotus feet of Narayan. Vishnu and Narayan means the Supreme Person. The absolute truth is ultimately a person, a divine person, a divine entity. His negligible part means his lowest part. The lowest part of his transcendental form are his lotus feet. And that is above all in this world. Above all, the lotus feet of Vishnu. Like the sun that passes through the sky. The sun is seeing all and blessing all. Similarly, the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord are above all in this world. Seeing all and blessing all in this world. So, before any work is done, before any activity is taken up, the Vedic way is to remember the lotus feet of Vishnu and to move in that way. You are moving under the watchful eye of the Supreme Lord at all times. We are under His glance. We are under His care. We are under His provision. We are under His guardianship. Therefore, there is no need for fear. Fear in the Veda is called Bhaya. Bhaya, fear, anxiety. All are in fear in this world. In varying degrees, everyone is fearful in this world. Because of fear, so much suffering is there. But remembering that above everything, the Supreme Lord is there. The Supreme Controller, His watchful eye, His grace always upon us. No need of fear. And one can live in this life free from anxiety. So, how to approach transcendence? That is the main subject of the Vedas. And for those who are not ready to accept transcendence, for those who are not ready to accept the guardianship of the Supreme Lord, there are many other departments of knowledge to help us in this temporary life. And gradually we may awaken to understand the ultimate value of human life. So we are producing our series, the Veda Files. And in this series we will discuss many things in relation to the Vedas, both mundane and transcendental. But our main goal is the transcendence, the transcendental goal of life. Here in the great India, the ancient civilization based itself in the transcendental goal, not in the material goal. We find now the civilization, ancient civilization, is all but gone. Only the monuments stand behind as a reminder. The temples were grand and gorgeous. The homes were very, very simple. why they lived like that. The temple represents transcendence, the abode of the Supreme Lord. That is grand and glorious, that will stand forever. And our life, we will come and go. Thousands upon millions of us will come and go in this world. It is not our home. We will not stand here forever. And they applied that practically, and they lived very simply. We look back on them now, and we wonder if they had the ability to build such marvelous wonders in stone, and big temples and palaces, why they didn't build for themselves homes which would last 100 and 200 and 300 years. Because they knew this land is not our home. Why you want to build a home here? You cannot remain here forever. You have to fix your sights on the higher world. Fix your sight, fix your gaze on the higher world. That means fix your consciousness in the higher world. And pass this life in a simple manner, simple living and high thinking. And at the end, when this body falls down to the dust from which it has come, our consciousness will reach that transcendental world. They lived this way, very, very practical. So, that conception that the Supreme Absolute Truth, Vishnu, Narayan, Krishna, are always above these three names, Vishnu, Narayan, and Krishna. This means the Supreme Absolute Truth, who is ultimately the divine person. He is above all. So to remind us, here on this hill, which we call Srinivas Hill, we find the feet of Vishnu Narayan are carved in this stone, high on the hill, overlooking the village, overlooking the town of Srirangapatna. The lotus feet of Vishnu are above all. In this way, the people used to live.